Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I'm here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about the Rise of Skywalker because somebody has to.
Yeah, I think they're all talking about it all of a sudden out of nowhere because the DVDs are out and the digitals are out. And they're trying to make sure people buy copies.
Hurry, hurry, hurry. Got to make that money. Got to make the money it didn't make in the theater, right? And now they're going to, they're going to retroactively blame that thing we can't talk about. They're going to go back in time and say in December people didn't go see it because they knew that the shutdown was going to happen.
That's right.
So they were just getting used to not going to the movie theater in December for Rise of Skywalker. But we're going to talk about it because now there's a lot of chatter about the movie and the production behind it, and they're starting to admit things that fans have already known. Basically, there was no plan.
Yeah, surprise.
They were making it up as they go.
Oh, who'd have thunk it? And
now we've got the scriptwriter, Chris Terrio, coming out and saying he's never rewritten a movie as much as The Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, but that's not what Lucasfilm's been saying.
Yeah, remember back in August, September when YouTubers like Doomcock were coming out and saying, hey, there's a bunch of rewrites and this movie's in really, really bad shape, and all the people from Lucasfilm were like, don't listen to YouTube, they lie.
Uh-huh. Don't listen to Lucasfilm, they lie.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that because we've got two opposing viewpoints here. One, we have Chris Terrio saying that he's never rewritten a movie as much as he has The Rise of Skywalker. And then we also have Lucasfilm coming out and saying they planned
for... Oh, it's been planned.
Planned for Rey to be a Skywalker the whole time, just like they planned for Palpatine.
Metaphorically.
And I want to contrast this with Rian Johnson, who basically turned in his first draft for The Last Jedi, and they're like, yep, looks good.
Yeah.
A++, film it.
And then the other article, didn't get the same one that I sent you. They're talking about how J.J. Abrams just loves Rian Johnson, and there's no bad. And I love the article too because they said about that when Rise of Skywalker came out, where they were talking about different things, and they were talking about how the people that didn't like Last Jedi complained, but they never mentioned the people that didn't like Rise of Skywalker complaining. All the people that were mad about Last Jedi, they didn't throw shade at those people.
Yeah, a lot of critics did not like Rise of Skywalker. We still haven't seen it.
No,
we actually sat it out. We sat it out in the theater, and then it hit the dollar theater, and nobody in the house had enough energy to even go to the dollar theater to go see it.
We didn't care enough.
Then it came out on digital, and we're like, nah.
I mean, maybe we'll get it at some point. I don't know.
When it turns up on Disney Plus, maybe we'll watch it.
Do that.
I just don't care. We actually watched Cats, or part of Cats, as much as we could watch the other night.
Oh God, it's so bad.
We watched half of Cats.
Oh my God.
Before we watched The Rise of Skywalker, and my God, it's worse. It's worse than I thought it was going to be. I thought, well, maybe it's just getting a bad rep. Maybe it's not.
I mean, Cats was already weird. I mean, let's be honest.
It doesn't work in live action. There's no way. I'm even trying to sit there and think, like, could you make this an animated movie? Would it work? And I'm like, no, I don't know.
It's definitely a product of its time and a product of the genre it was created for.
Yeah.
It's not really one that can translate into a movie.
No. So we watched half of Cats, and we have to get around to watching the other half, but it's weird as hell. It is. So anyway, let's talk about Rise of Skywalker. Screenwriter Chris Terrio has revealed the extent of the rewrites. The writer of movies like Argo, Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, and Justice League also explained how the revisions were going on as filming was taking place. Explained how the revisions were going on as filming was taking place. They were writing it as they were filming it.
Right, which goes along with everything we heard last summer.
But it's all fine. They had a plan. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah, all those YouTubers are just liars.
It comes from a new book, The Art of Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, just released by Lucasfilm. I've never rewritten a film as much as this one.
Well, the other article I know deals with this book as well, so that they're going to tie in.
Yeah, so the book comes out at the same time. The Blu-ray comes out. Synergy, brand synergy.
Well, then they contradict themselves in the book, because we'll get there in a minute.
It's like a tide, red tide. There's a new script every morning. We just keep going at it and going out loosely thinking it's not good enough. It's never good enough.
No, it's not good enough. It frankly hasn't been good enough at all.
Can you imagine what they didn't film? Like the dumb shit they came up with that didn't make it into this movie. He goes on, luckily the production team is so good that they can shift and adjust. We're course correcting as we go. We're trying things, and some things don't work, and some things aren't ambitious enough.
But they left the tanks in. Now, granted, they were from, like Clone Wars or Rebels or whatever, but I'm like, they put that in the movie. Some things shouldn't be put in movies, like Cats.
Cats. Some things are overly ambitious. Some things are too dense. Some things are too simple. Some things are too nostalgic. Some things are too out of left field. We're finding our balance. Basically, we didn't know what the hell we were doing. We had to fix the mess that was The Last Jedi, that was a first draft that got turned in and filmed. Ed Wood style. Great, good, wonderful cut, next scene.
Yeah, I mean, it just completely, and no, I don't care if you like The Last Jedi or not, that's up to you, but it completely undid everything from The Force Awakens and left nothing to go forward to on the next film, which was the problem. I'm sorry, you can boil it on. I don't mean whether you like the Force Awakens or not. I'm not a fan of it. Other people like it. Boil it down to it. The Last Jedi derailed the entire thing.
The movie was the worst reviewed of any of the installments of the Star Wars saga critically, with a Rotten Tomatoes score of only 52%, 1% lower than The Phantom Menace.
That's because it was a movie for no one.
Yeah, pretty much. Critics and fans took exception to the amount of tacked-on nostalgic moments, which made for disappointing final chapter in the long-running series for many.
You just can't shove all that shit in the last film and make it work.
It's almost like they woke up that morning and they're like, oh, what do we need? What do we need? Yeah, we could use some Lando. Maybe we could squeeze an Ewok or two
What
in
do people
here.
like? What do people like? Oh, the Emperor. Bring him back.
Bring the Emperor back.
What else they like? Yeah, let's find out everything they like and then put that in here. But to be fair, I think that's an Abrams thing because he did the same thing with Force Awakens, which annoyed the hell out of me. Anyway.
God, critics also rounded on the movie's script as a weakness, while Radio 4's Front Row called it a naked exercise in retrograde nostalgia that is perfectly content with playing the hits but fails to provide anything new or exciting. Nobody wants naked exercise. Not when Star Wars is involved.
Okay.
For sure. Now I'm thinking like naked Yoda yoga or something.
No.
Don't think that. So yeah, they're making it up as they go. At least they're admitting it, but they waited until, of course, after the movie came out, after the fans got run through the mud, dragged through the mud.
Oh, they're still doing that in this next article.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I'll show you. It's only the only ones who are getting dragged through the mud are the ones who didn't like Last Jedi. You'll see. Okay.
Oh, God. Pablo Hidalgo. Here we go. Star Wars concept of Rey embracing the Skywalker name dates back to The Force Awakens. While some audiences thought the conclusion of the Skywalker saga was meant to negate the events of The Last Jedi, a film that some fans didn't enjoy, that's an understatement, the release of The Art of Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker confirms the idea of Rey symbolically becoming a Skywalker dates back to the inception.
Yeah, but this is not exactly what they said. What he said was, I like the idea that she's going to be our Skywalker, but she's not a Skywalker. He said in a 2014 meeting, then for our purposes, the Skywalker is really a metaphor. It doesn't have to be something directly connected to blood.
Hashtag not our Skywalker.
Yeah, so basically they flat out said, we need to find our own Skywalker, and what checkboxes do we need? I'm surprised they let her be white. Anyway, so they're going to find that, and then he didn't actually say that. They just went back to it. Now they're trying to go back and find little bits here and there to try to make it sound like they had a plan. They did not have a plan.
They keep doing this. They go back, and it's even with the novelization, they're going back and filling in plot holes. I mean, look, Chris Terrio, he's being very blunt. He's like, flat out, this was a clusterfuck of a production. I'm going to try to be polite about it because you're quoting me in the book, but it was a clusterfuck.
I think he's probably annoyed because they kept making him redo everything. They kept changing it, making him redo it, and he's like, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. And I think he's just annoyed. He comes across as being annoyed.
Yeah, and he's the one that's been kind of letting it rip. He's
getting blamed for it all.
Yeah, and he had another version. I guess he had another version of it with, Colin Trevorrow had the other version where they actually did do a sequel to Last Jedi. They didn't bring the Emperor back, but they had like a giant frog baby thing that was supposed to be. So I don't know if that would have been better.
I don't know.
But they didn't go back to the well. The expanded universe, they burn the expanded universe down, but they keep going back to that well, don't they?
Yes, they do.
They're talking about bringing back Mara Jade, Brie Larson, possibly.
No, don't you even.
They already brought back Thrawn. Lucasfilm doesn't know what the hell it's doing. Lucasfilm is making it up as they go.
Yeah, they're just, they had to throw it away because they're going to have their story group redo everything and make it better. And now they have to go back to the stuff fans actually liked because they keep failing on every turn. And then what did the fans like? But here's where they start throwing shade at everybody who didn't like The Last Jedi yet again. So they're talking about how it was already, shown in the other movies because her aptitude with the Force, with the Force Awakens, when everybody's like, how is she Mary Sue and knows how to do everything? Her aptitude just proves that, she wasn't the child of nobodies. Rey's aptitude with the Force and The Force Awakens conjured theories about her lineage for years, only for The Last Jedi to disappoint some with the reveal by Kylo Ren that her parents were nobodies. Additionally, the film killed off Supreme Leader Snoke, another character that had earned a number of theories about their backstory. Some audience bemoaned Last Jedi writer-director Rian Johnson as they believed he deviated too far from the path J.J. Abrams set up. 'Cause he did. When the Rise of Skywalker revealed Rey's true lineage, Last Jedi detractors were excited while its fans were frustrated. Basically, audiences who didn't like The Last Jedi were shit, but audiences who didn't like The Rise of Skywalker, they were just frustrated. But it gets better. It doesn't end there. Some fans have even conjured theories that Abrams intentionally retconned the events of Last Jedi because he personally didn't like them, which Greg Grunberg is shocked to consider. I was shocked. This is part of Star Wars, which is finding conflict, Grunberg shared with The Hollywood Reporter, of fans thinking Abrams actively attempted to contradict The Last Jedi. 'Cause he did. People are going to make things up. I've never heard one disparaging thing from JJ about Rian. Rian is a brilliant storyteller and filmmaker. Are you listening, Rian? I'm sucking up to you so hard. It's one of those things where if you pay attention to the film and engage with it, all it does is keep the story going. Because, if you're not smart enough to get it, then you're just, if you pay attention, you'll see that it's fine. But I'm glad you're asking me, because I would absolutely tell you if there were moments here and there just weren't. Well, I'm sorry, Greg. I'm sorry, Greg. Objectively speaking, from the outside looking in, he flippin' undid everything from The Last Jedi. Yeah. I'm sorry if you don't want to hear it. He might not say anything outright. Actually, there were comments he made. He was careful how he worded them, but they were like, he was kind of throwing shade at Johnson several times. So you're full of crap, Greg.
He's basically like, wow, what a mess. I had to undo it, and those are things I wouldn't have done, but here we are. I'm like, why the hell didn't Lucasfilm have a plan for those 3 movies? I mean, how hard is it to have a plan, a basic outline of where you're gonna go with 3 extremely high-profile movies that the company shelled out, $4 billion for the rights to produce, and nobody is steering the ship.
Yeah, I mean, you can totally go with different directors on each film. They've done it before. The problem is you need a plan, and you need one person making sure it all flows together, and none of you did that. And I'm sorry, but this Greg guy is just, hot for Johnson. Because, if anybody I'm so right. Wait, if anybody was going to try to dig that out of JJ, it'd be me. I wanted to work with Rian so badly, and it just didn't happen. JJ loves that guy. He loves how creative and brilliant he is. This whole article is just so this guy can go on about how JJ loves Rian Johnson, and Rian Johnson's a cinematic genius. And if you don't see it, it's because you're just not smart enough to get his genius.
That sounds like a lewd film, hot for Johnson.
Yeah, right, but he completely effed up Star Wars. I'm sorry, no matter how I think both of them did their fair share, but The Last Jedi really, that caused so much trouble. I can't even. You can't
unfuck Star Wars after.
No, Johnson already did it so well. That's one thing he's good at, effing things up.
So here's the thing, right? I think because of that thing we can't talk about. That thing that's going around that's caused all the shutdowns, I think, since Disney is feeling the pinch, I believe that they might take the opportunity to toss some people overboard and blame it on the virus. Just saying.
Yeah, well, the only person they could toss overboard at this point that would make fans happy is Kathleen Kennedy, and I think she's leaving anyway next year. So
just saying, they'll be like, well, she took a pay cut. She's down to 0. And we're gonna pass the baton. And it's all because of the time traveling thing we can't talk about. Yeah, that's what's gonna happen.
Well, it's her job ultimately to make sure that it all flowed together and worked, and she didn't do her job. I'm sorry. This was clearly, no matter how many times they try to spin it and they lie, because imagine that, Hollywood lies. They lie every damn day because they want to spin it the way they want to spin it. The narrative now, it's gonna be, oh no, it's all planned. It's all planned. Look, we're gonna go find little, we deliberately went back in the last movie and tried to find things to tie it to the first movie so we can say retroactively that it was all planned. It was not planned. It's obvious by The Last Jedi that that's a load of shit. If they had a big overarching plan for everything, The Last Jedi wouldn't be The Last Jedi. I mean, you cannot make this argument. There's no way it makes sense.
Yeah, they're just making excuses at this point. Now I'm wondering, how far back Disney is going to push a lot of other Star Wars movies and projects because of all the damage being done by that thing we can't talk about. I mean, they're going to be hurting for money. I mean, obviously there's going to be more Mandalorian because that's actually doing.
Well, they're going to ruin that, I guarantee.
Oh yeah, they're going to shoehorn. They're going to make it the most marketable, over the top, ridiculous. Like,
they'll find a way to ruin it.
It's popular. Let's shoehorn some identity politics into it just because people are watching this one.
But they're trying to stick Marge Brie Larson in it. Yeah. I'm like, don't do that. And here's the thing: people do not like Brie Larson. I'm sorry, and it's not just because you're just super alt-right Yahtzees. No, we're not. We just don't like Brie Larson because Brie Larson, one, doesn't act very well, and two, she doesn't act very well in public either. She just walks around really arrogant and has a stick up her ass. And then that car commercial was the most tone-deaf load of shit I've ever seen, and she was all like, it was her idea, like, yeah, go me. Yeah, it's like, I can't even. If you're trying to make everybody hate you, you're doing a great job.
Yeah, Brie Larson, that's like her thing, is she's trying to make people hate her. They don't know what to do with her. I think they're trying to push her. They don't want the fans to have a win, I think, right?
But the more they push her, the more they push everybody away from her.
Yeah. And it's like you're forcing people to like her, and they really don't like her. It's like, I don't know. I don't understand it. But
they let it go, maybe people would like her more, but they keep shoving her down everybody's throats.
I'm waiting for them to be like, okay, we're going to have Ahsoka Tano and Mara Jade in The Mandalorian, and we're going to ship them together.
That's right.
Ship them together. That's what we're going to do. I guarantee you they're going to do something stupid. They're going to get stupid with The Mandalorian because it was successful. So now they have to
ruin what made it successful.
Ruin it, yeah. They will.
Yeah, they won't. The takeaway won't be like, here's what made it successful. It was a concerted effort to try to feel like Star Wars. No, because it has any value whatsoever, they're going to double down on that thing and kill it like they kill everything they've been touching lately.
Everything that Lucasfilm touches dies.
Even Disney, for that matter. They keep buying these companies, and Marvel started out good, but they're gonna kill it. Yeah, I'm telling you, they're pushing too many things through. They're overdoing it. It's going to kill it.
So speaking of Skywalkers, just wanted to bring this up quick.
Oh God.
This is okay. So Mags Visaggio, right? Comic writer Mags Visaggio is now saying that Anakin Skywalker was an incel. Here's the problem with that. And this is articles on Bounding in the Comics. You can go out and read it.
Do we really care? The reason she's doing this is because she's trying to stay relevant because comics are doing crap.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the collapsing comic book industry. Well, Mags has a parachute. Mags is going to Hollywood now.
It's not that big a deal. I mean, it's like what, sci-fi?
Yeah. Who doesn't have a TV show?
Do you notice every time that there's something that they're feeling they're not getting enough attention for, here they come to try to start a fight about something to get attention more?
That seems to be the MO on Twitter. So Mags is talking about how Anakin Skywalker was a sexually frustrated 25-year-old. He's angry that he isn't getting the recognition he thinks he deserves, and he immediately falls under the sway of a Nazi. Okay, here's the problem with that. He was married. Mm-hmm. Secretly, he had kids, so that means he did it. He used his lightsaber. He used the Force on Padme. That'll be the next thing. Padme didn't consent.
Oh, God.
That'll be the next thing.
Incel does not mean what apparently Mags thinks it means.
Incel doesn't. Basically, incel anymore, it's a meaningless term, just like the Yahtzee term. It basically means... you're an angry white guy. You're an incel.
That's not what it means.
No, and Anakin throughout most of the prequels, if you actually watch the damn prequels, throughout most of the prequels was actually, he had a temper, but he was actually a pretty good guy. You watch the Clone Wars, he was a hero. Mm-hmm. And the reason he turned to the dark side, honestly, was to save Padme. Mm-hmm. He wanted to save the love of his life.
He did have the problem where he thought he should get more recognition than he did.
Yeah.
But, it wasn't in the way this is spinning it. But then, I would expect nothing else from Twitter. Nothing less.
Well, this is what's going to happen. We talk about, going back to the concept here, R. Skywalker. Have you noticed that Lucasfilm is trying very, very hard to destroy Luke?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Because they have to have their Skywalker be the Skywalker.
Right, because even it's really disgusting. If you go out and look, if you haven't seen them already, go out and watch the animated Star Wars, was it Galaxy of Adventures or whatever, where they have the one with Leia, and they basically make Luke look like a complete schmo, in these shorts. And Leia's doing things Leia didn't actually do in the movies. Not to belittle Leia. Leia was pretty awesome.
They didn't need to do this. Leia was kick-ass on her own. She didn't need these people to come back and retroactively change it to make her better. She already took charge and kicked ass. She didn't need them to change the story and give her that, handicap to make her stronger. She already was.
Yeah, and...
That's insulting to me as a woman.
So they did that, and then they ruined Luke in The Last Jedi. They just went ahead and did that, and now we've got R. Skywalker, because Luke is hashtag not not our Skywalker. And Anakin isn't either. So now we're gonna go back and be like, well, Anakin was just an angry incel.
Right. And now Rey is the Skywalker, even though she never was a Skywalker. It literally is the Palpatine story, not the Skywalker saga.
Well, I guess you could argue that Vader actually is an incel now, because I'm sure his junk got burnt off on Mustafar.
So maybe you could argue that for now.
Because he voluntarily didn't have his balls burn off.
We don't know that. Like I still stand by my thing saying that if he was a normal guy, he's going to use all his Force powers to protect the junk.
Protect the junk.
I'm
Force bubble!
That's what I'm saying. If it was any guy I know, they're going to protect the junk.
It's like, even my freaking face gets burned off, I'm protecting my balls, protecting my boys. Oh God, or that'll be the next thing. Oh, Vader fathered children after Luke and Leia, because he protected his junk with Force powers.
That's right, and they're the real Skywalkers now, and they're all POC women.
There is another, and another, and another, and another Skywalker, and another one.
Which would destroy the legacy of how much he liked Padme. He loved Padme. He turned the dark side protector. Well, we're going to destroy that too.
Yeah, so we're going to wrap this one up.
God, I can't even.
Star Wars, complete shit show, of course, and I don't know if it's going to get better, because Disney is going to be running out of money. So who knows? Who knows? We're going to wrap it up. Please subscribe for more pop culture, news, views, and rants, and we'll talk later.
Bye.
Hey guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.